Welcome to Thinking is Contagious. In case some of you are wondering, I did the program yesterday regarding the Delta variant of COVID, and just to inform you, I did not take it down. It was taken down by YouTube for medical misinformation, a claim which I vehemently opposed. I appealed, and again, they decided that I was violating their standard for medical misinformation. I don't agree with it, but it's their playground, so you got to play on their rules. I want to talk a little bit about an interview this morning with Pete Buttigieg on CNBC, a member of the president's staff, and I thought it was laughable, the interview. Not so much from what Buttigieg says, he was the talking head repeating the company line, but the CNBC interviewers, both of them, and I don't know the general, Andrew, and I don't know the other gentleman's name. I don't know their names. They didn't. It was nonsensical the way they avoided asking questions based on the response from Buttigieg. At one point, one of the interviewers was trying to grill Buttigieg about the infrastructure plan and the excess in it, and how the there was things in the plan, the $3 trillion plan, that were not infrastructure, were far above infrastructure, and involved the component of services and benefits, child care, and paid leave, and the interviewer was challenging, that's not infrastructure, why should that be in there? And Buttigieg's response was, there's no reason why the richest nation in the world shouldn't be able to afford its citizens things that far poorer nations provide. The response to that is very simply this, CNBC. Mr. Buttigieg, with all due respect, do you think that maybe that's why we are the richest nation in the world? Do you think that is the premise of how you become the richest nation in the world? Instead of trying to take from those that produce and equally divide, maybe the way to do this is to promote those that produce, to help them produce more, so that there's more left on the table to provide these services that you say even the poor nations provide. You know why they're poor? Because of exactly that reason. Because they don't incentivize this. And they do take an excess amount from the producers. And those producers, guess where they are heading for? Where they come to, the United States, since Donald Trump reduced the corporate tax rate, since he made this country more business friendly. That's why it is happening. But for the question to be answered by Buttigieg, the richest country in the nation should be able to do this, that should have been right back at him. That's why we are the richest country in the world. Then they switched to the tax enforcement. And Buttigieg is saying how we have to put more money into the coffers to hire more IRS agents for more enforcement. Again, CNBC asleep at the wheel. I don't understand how these people are paid to do these interviews and don't ask the obvious question. Why should we keep adding? This is like the companies that don't embrace technology. They're going to go under. Why should we keep adding money to the payroll of the government? Why should we keep making government bigger, more government employees, more and more people working for the government? I mean, I'm asking that question facetiously. I have the answer. The answer is the more people that are employed by the government, the more people that will vote according to the government in place. I understand that, but why is it that The answer is always hire more, hire more, hire more. More IRS agents, more enforcement, so we can audit more people, so we can bust more balls, so we can go after. And if you told me, oh, this, like he says, oh, this is to make sure that that not so much that the goods are all out are stolen, shoplifting. It was the analogy he was using. It's not so much the shoplifting; it's to make sure that we catch it before the goods are out the door. Well, Mr. Buttigieg, if that's your intent, it's very simple. We can reduce government. We can reduce government employment. We can not hire agents. We can let agents go. If you very simply do something which you will never do, and no politician will ever do, because it defeats the many lobbyists and the many people that you are indebted to, that you owe your livelihood to, the many industries, but very simply, simplify the tax code. Make the tax code such that you eliminate deductions, you eliminate loopholes, you eliminate red tape, and you make a minimum tax code, a minimal tax code, one that is a few pages long, basically. And I know, the semantics of a few pages or 100 pages or 10 pages, whatever. You simplify it, okay? To the point where you don't need enforcement by human beings to go through a checklist and determine things. You will have automation. It's basically a one-page form. I made $100,000. I owe $10,000, 10%, 11%, 9%, 12%, whatever it boils down to. Because I will tell you that if it's a flat tax on across the board, and you can have your thresholds to carve out the lowest 30% or 25%, whatever it is, it becomes non-taxable income below certain levels. I understand that. But if you make it that simple, one-page form, guess what? You don't need to hire a whole bunch of IRS agents. You don't need to have a whole bunch of IRS buildings. You don't need to have a lot of office space. You don't need to have all travel expenses. You don't need to have any of those things that come out of the taxpayer dollars. But why do you want those things? Because you're the lobbyists. The lobbyists who want those loopholes. Everything from the real estate industry to the CPAs to the accountant, everyone that you refuse to step on their toes. If you were really interested, Mr. Buttigieg and President Biden, if you guys were really interested in helping the American people, you would forget all those special interests. You would forget all those cottage industries. Well, not cottage industries, those mainstream industries. You would forget all those and put the American people first and say, you know what? We can save a whole boatload of money in this country by simplifying the tax code, making sure that everyone pays 10%, 11%, 12%, whatever it is that personal income level, income tax level would be. We would garner a huge increase in revenues, and we would cut government expenditure tremendously. Very simple. This is not rocket science. This can be implemented immediately, very simply. And by immediately, I mean phased in over a few years. Immediately. And the American people would be the biggest beneficiaries. But that's not going to happen, because the benefit of the American people is not in the top 5 on the agenda of most of the people that we've elected to go to Washington. Most of the people. Buttigieg is a talking head. He is a guy who knows that he's gone from mayor to a national celebrity. And again, it's certainly predicated on not so much what he's achieved as to what he represents. And that is something that you may or may not agree with. And like I said, I don't delineate based on factors other than who's earned something, who deserves something. There's no way you can tell me that Pete Buttigieg is the best candidate for the role that he serves. Okay? Don't buy it. Just like I don't buy Kamala Harris is the best candidate for the role that she serves. Just like I know Joe Biden is not the best candidate as president of the United States. So we need to look at how we analyze these people, these politicians. We need to see what we expect from them. And we need to understand that we, the American people, the voter, we need to hire the best people. We're not doing that right now. What we're hiring right now is the people that best grease the skids, the people who best play the con, the shell game, and the people who best take taxpayer dollars and use them as their personal coffers to buy votes. And that's all that this is. Money being thrown at the American people. Government makes no money, remember that. Government seizes money, okay, through taxes. That money is then being doled out how they deem best. And again, the priority is not what is best for the American people. The priority is, how do I get reelected? How do I continue to be in power? How do I retain my seat at the front of the feeding trough? That is what drives most, not all, many of the politicians that we have in office today. And we, as the American people, as the voters, as the people who are doing the hiring, again, are not looking out for our own best interest. The best interest of society. We're looking out for our own individual. They're looking out for own individual best interests. Oh, this is the party that's going to send me a $600 child credit. I vote for them. Oh, this is the party that's going to send me a $1,400 benefit check. Vote for them. Forget about how you get the $1,400. Forget about what has to happen to get the $1,400. Forget about the consequence of the $1,400. Okay? You just put it on a credit card. And guess what? You may think that that's not you that's going to pay it back, but the credit card that the government used is yours. You owe that money. Your kids will owe that money. Your grandkids will owe that money. And people may say, oh, it's inconsequential, the debt. No, it is consequential, the debt. Because then you wouldn't have Mr. Buttigieg would not be able to have his argument, oh, why can't the richest nation in the world afford this? Well, they can't afford this. You want to know why? Because the credit card is maxed out. I do not understand how this Andrew guy and the other gentleman on there and Becky, they let these people go on there. They give these absurd, inane, asinine answers. And they just go right, okay, next. A disservice to America, a disservice to the American people, and a lowering of standards to allow people such as Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Joe Biden to lead this country. It's a disgrace. And as long as we continue worrying about where the $1,400 check comes from instead of worrying about how it's going to get paid back and what impact it's going to have on our society as a whole, okay? These are the same people that are, environmentally, we're concerned for the environment, for the world, for us, the world's, the benefit of the earth. Well, you should have the same concerns when you accept those checks and you vote for people who dole out money like that. You should have that same concern about the ramifications on what it's going to do to society, to the rest of society, the impact on society, the cost to society. So you worry about what the impact is on the environment, but you don't worry about what your actions impact is on society, the social economic structure of American society. Again, Buttigieg's famous line, why the richest nation in the world cannot afford to provide the services that the poorer countries do. Now you know why, Mr. Buttigieg. Now you know why, CNBC. Let's hope that this program doesn't get taken down. I don't know if I've said anything that they will, at this point, infer is, I don't know, anti something, whatever it may be. We have to look out for Big Brother, and obviously it's in the form of social media, and they pick and choose what they allow on the air. Hopefully, they allow this to stay on the air, and we will go from there. All right? Have a good day, and I appreciate your time.